We're asking if all foreign criminals should be deported. 0207 862 2222. A new report has claimed that there will be a shortfall of over 12,000 prison spaces in 3 years' time, and that's slightly more than the number of foreign nationals currently in UK prisons. And then we've got separate figures from the Ministry of Justice, which have just revealed that foreign criminals who avoided deportation then committed 10,000 extra offences in 1 year, including violent assaults, thefts and robberies. Under current rules, only foreign criminals sentenced to more than 12 months in prison must be deported. So should we move, Dawn, to one strike and you're out?
Absolutely. I do not understand. We've got 10,500 foreign criminals in the UK in prison. They're costing £40,000 per inmate for us, and it's 12% of the prison population. Now, our prisons are so full, we're letting dangerous men out, and it is often men, sorry, but, you know, violent domestic abusers out because we don't have enough room in our prisons. If we deport...
But we have to send... We've found that deporting people is so hard. Look at the Rwanda flights. They only got one person off the ground, and that was a volunteer.
Yeah, well, no, absolutely. Well, here's the thing. If you're in charge, you're in government, you change the laws. You just make it easier.
OK. Yasmin?
Well, for me, it's a complicated one. Of course, it's easy to say, you know, these are foreigners, you know, and we should get rid of them. There are three things to think about. There are some countries with which we have a reciprocal arrangement, right? Which is how it should be. There are British criminals all over the world, some of them committing terrible crimes, like in Thailand, you know, paedophilia by a lot of European men is terrible.
I've seen some reports on that.
And they don't send them back to us.
Do they not?
No, they don't. So we have to think about, can we have arrangements with countries? Also, what are the crimes? The serious crimes, the assaults, the rapes, the armed robberies, yes, I would be all for it. But we do already have that happening. If a serious crime has been committed, and I think numbers of deportees has gone up since this government came in.
But what we're talking about here is you stop saying it's got to be a serious crime. You say, look, I'm sorry, if you have your collar felt, if you're guilty of, let's say, theft, shoplifting, nicking a wallet, you've got to leave.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's right.
One strike and you're out.
No. Unless we're prepared to get into Britain, all those criminals, you know, the people in southern Spain, Britons in southern Spain, are we prepared to let our prisons keep them in exchange for us sending them out?
Would it be 10,000?
I think in total there are a lot more than we think.
Well, Dawn,
but there's also one other thing, a very quick thing. I'm not against the idea, but we have to be careful not to say a crime committed by a so-called foreigner is by definition much worse. It's a crime.
No one said that, though. No one said it's worse because you happen to be an Albanian. But if you commit a crime in this country, you should be sent back to your country of origin. And I agree with you. British prisoners abroad, they should be sent back here as well. I don't have a problem with that.
That would be a deal I would support.
OK. Well, we'd love calls on this, 0207 862 2222, and whether you think we could make it work, and whether you could bring it in at the lowest level. You'd probably throw people out for a parking ticket, would you?
Absolutely.
So
I'm joking. I would throw people out for riding their bike badly, Jeremy Vine.
Well, there are levels of driving that get into criminality quite quickly as well. So you would in the end be thrown out of the country for a driving offence.
If you're
potentially.
Yeah, if you're sentenced to a prison sentence, we're not just people about getting fined, but if you are sentenced to prison, our prisons are full, we are letting people out, dangerous people out.
I don't even know how deportation works. I've got to be honest with you. Do you just get told meet us at Heathrow and we'll show on to... Some people don't even have passports.
It's been happening for quite a long time.
Yeah.
It's happened.
But then why didn't it happen with Rwanda?
Sometimes there have been real cases of injustice, like, I can't remember, a Jamaican was deported who was not a foreigner. He was actually 1 year old or 2 years old.
This is Windrush you're talking about here? The Windrush scandal?
No. I'm talking about he had committed crimes.
Oh, I know.
Right?
I know what you mean. Yeah.
And it's also to define at what point do you stop being a foreigner? Am I a foreigner? I've been here 52 years.
You raise a good question because, Dawn, I noticed that in the world of news, for example, a lot of organisations don't have foreign editors anymore. They used to. Foreign editor's usually the guy who leaves the building, gets on a plane and does his reporting.
Yeah.
they now call them world editors because the word foreign has gone out of use.
It's quite...
And even the word, if someone says to you they look like a foreigner, you'd think, oi, oi.
Well, it's like if I go to Spain for a holiday to see my friends who live out in Ibiza and I'm called a foreigner, I don't take offence with that. But the description of foreigner in this instance is someone who holds a foreign passport.
Okay.
It's nothing to do with what they look like or the colour of their skin or their religion. It's whether they hold a foreign passport.
Is there not an argument for saying that we want to keep people in this country because we want to see the punishment is done?
But that could be, and I think that's, some countries have very bad systems. They could, but also remember some of these men, and if I'm talking about men, could be women too, have families here, have children. And we have to think about the consequences
Well,
for
they should have
them.
thought about the consequences before they committed a crime.
But
Two
there's
words,
still consequences.
hard cheese. Hard cheese.
Right.
Not for the children, is it? It's always the case that children of everybody who's in prison is the casualty of that.
Okay, good point. Mark on Facebook says we would end up having to take back 2,000 British criminals currently in foreign jails. It's a good headline, but would it actually improve anything? So, well, if it's 2,000, that is an improvement, isn't it? Because we're talking about 12,000 foreign criminals.
Well, at least 10,500 foreign offenders in our jail. So that sounds like a fair swap to me.
Have we got any of is it the so-called Costa del Crime, where all the British gangsters used to go and live? We'd have to take them back. Well, they haven't been caught yet, by definition.
It's exactly good luck catching them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the other problem here, isn't it?
So do call in on this. No one's called on this. That's so weird. That's such an interesting thing. You've obviously...
Well, here's the thing, right? Okay,
you've said it all.
Out there, everybody. Okay,
Yeah.
well, you taxpayers at the moment, and many of you might be pensioners, you're paying £40,000 a year to keep each of these prisoners in prison.
Yeah,
okay?
more than Eton.
Yeah, absolutely. I would rather spend my share of that £40,000 on keeping our pensioners warm this winter.
And what do you do with the money you would have spent on the prisoners? Answer: it doesn't come up because you've deported them, right?
It's it's not going to go to pensioners. It's going to go into prisons, which need an awful lot of money.
Fair enough, then.
But there is this question: are we applying the same standards to British criminals? You know, this awful story about the churchman John Smythe or Smith, who committed atrocious crimes against children in southern Africa.
No,
and
in
they
Britain
never deported him to us. And he was never even, they were going to try him eventually, but he died.
That's not, I don't think
But what would have happened? I mean, the paedophilia thing is a very good one to think about. Do we want these men back in here?
Well, if they're in prison,
we should have got him back rapidly and busted him. And instead he
was protected by the churches.
That's probably true, yeah. Russell says if they are sentenced to prison, they should serve half their time and then be removed from the country with a permanent ban.